welcome to episode 71, part 3 of Kenya's premier sports video podcast, the 3 Quarters Podcast. As usual, we'd like to remind you to jump onto the hashtag Road to Japan to support the Kenya Simbas as they are still looking to qualify for the Rugby World Cup in 2019 in Japan. I'm Domingo Duffield.
And I'm Nara Kamuya.
So the E.P.L comes to an end, well, this weekend, or came to an end, and top 6, Man City, Man U, Tottenham, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, and then 18, 19, 20, Swansea, Stoke, West Brom. I wouldn't want to be at the anyway.
Yeah. So Manchester City being crowned the champions, the 2017-2018 Premier League champions. They've actually amassed the most number of points ever amassed in the Premier League, in the history of the Premier League. They finished the season with 100 points. Man United coming up second, Tottenham Hotspurs third, and Liverpool fourth. So these 4 teams, of course, then have will be playing in the, what is it called? The Champions League. Yes, the Champions League. City led from the beginning, so it was guaranteed they were going to win. Man United, what I like is that you're seeing some sort of resurgence, after Jose Mourinho took over. Last season they won the Europa League and now they're finishing second. So you're seeing Man United coming back, and they've really taken a hit ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left. So it's good to see them coming back into it. Tottenham Hotspurs showing that, look, last season was not a fluke because they finished second. They're now third, and again in the Champions League. Liverpool finishing fourth. It's unfortunate for me. I really wanted Liverpool to finish higher than fourth because, as I told you, and as I've repeatedly said, that I am a big believer in coaches who have a philosophy, and Jurgen Klopp is one of those guys. With the Gegenpress, I feel that I like teams that respect the process. That's why I've never really liked the Man Cities and the Chelsea, because they just poured money and they were able to get results. But I really like teams that respect the process, and I always feel that Liverpool is one of those teams. Despite them having not won the league for 20 or so years, I really wanted them to be somewhere. But look, they have a chance at the Champions League, so that's good enough. Chelsea and Arsenal. Chelsea are the defending champions. They've had a very miserable season under Antonio Conte. Arsenal, of course, the biggest news with Arsenal, yes, they finished 6th, but the biggest news with Arsenal is the fact that Arsene Wenger is leaving at the end of the season, or he's left at the end of this past season. So now who comes and takes over from Arsenal is another thing, but again, I said that Arsenal fans need to understand that it's not going to be instant success. We're going to go through problems, and as Stan Kroenke is the majority shareholder at Arsenal, the financial policies are going to be the same, and as a result of that, Arsenal are going to have problems. But look, they're still in Europe. Still, from a financial standpoint, they're still getting some good money from TV rights. For Swansea, Stoke, and West Brom, they're losing money because of TV rights. They've been relegated and will be playing in the Championship come 2018-2019. So we are on a 4-month break for the English Premier League. And what they call the biggest drama in sports does not return until April or August of 2018.
All right, well, I'm sure lots of people will be looking forward to have it back.
Yeah, that's true.
So we move on to Grand Prix. We've got the Barcelona Grand Prix, actually.
Barcelona Grand Prix happening, I think it's the 5th round in their Formula 1 calendar. It is happening in Barcelona.
Well,
it's a Spanish Grand Prix, and in the early stages there was a spin by Romain. It's a French name, Romain, Grosjeun. I'm not going to pronounce that one. Yes. G-E-N, yes. So he caused an accident, taking out himself and 2 other people. Kimi Raikkonen suffered engine issues, despite having the engine changed on Friday and Saturday. It's unfortunate because this is his second outing as a driver of Ferrari, and his second outing has been marred a lot with reliability issues. Max Verstappen, he actually drove with a damaged front wing end plate from lap 43, and that's showing the kind of talent that Max Verstappen is, and maybe guys should be watching out for him in the coming years. Kind of reminds me of when Lewis Hamilton came into the fold. In the end, Lewis Hamilton won the Spanish Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas was number 2. and Max Verstappen was number 3. And what they show is that Mercedes are again dominating the European circuit. So next we have the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yep. And I mean, in overall results, we've got Hamilton at the top, Bottas, then Vettel, then Raikkonen, then Verstappen.
Yes, and that's the driver standings.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we move on to basketball. We're playing bad. Anyway, yeah. So NBA playoffs.
Yes.
Conference review.
Yes. So we're getting to the business end. We are now in the conference finals. But before we get into the conference finals, I'd like to mention that the Toronto Raptors have fired head coach Dwayne Casey. It was widely expected, or it's widely expected, that Dwayne Casey is going to be the coach of the year, having led the Raptors to top seed in the Eastern Conference. But then the Raptors came up against a very inspired LeBron James, and LeBron James has owned them and swept them. So there's that, and there's the issue of him benching his star player DeMar DeRozan, and there was actually a tiff on TNT between Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley about because Charles Barkley was of the mindset that you don't bench your best player. Shaquille O'Neal was saying that it's not a must that the head coach have a good relationship with the best player, and it became personal. But that's for another day. Dwayne Casey has been fired. So anyway, the conference finals, we have Western Conference Finals, Golden State Warriors. They're going to be at Houston Rockets, and in the Eastern Conference we have the Cleveland Cavaliers they're going to be at Celtics. So in the Western Conference, despite the Houston Rockets winning 2-1 in the regular season, I feel that GSW has just too much class and experience for the postseason. And I mean, with a backcourt of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and a front court of Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, and Andre Iguodala, you're seeing perhaps the most impressive starting five in the last 7-8 years. Some people argue ever. So it's going to be very tough for Houston Rockets, and if they are in any way to upset the Golden State Warriors, then Chris Paul and James Harden have to have an excellent defensive game, defending especially Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. But you can't write them off. Being coached by Mike D'Antoni, you cannot write them off. But on the other hand, I mean, Golden State Warriors have Steve Kerr, who's also a brilliant basketball mind. So you can't. It's gonna be an interesting one. I can definitely tell you that. For the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Celtics, I wish both teams, or rather, I wish the Celtics had a full roster in this one. They're playing without the two biggest players. They're playing without Kyrie Irving. They're playing without Gordon Hayward, and their character is what has gotten them to the finals. But they're coming against a very resurgent LeBron James. The conversation has started again about LeBron James and Michael Jordan, and I'm sure LeBron wants to prove something. So it's going to be an interesting matchup, but I just don't feel Celtics have enough to put a block to LeBron getting to his 9th consecutive final. So look, yeah, it's I think it's going to be a repeat. This has been the final from 2015.
Yeah.
Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I don't think this year is going to be any different.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, so we move on to the bonus topic.
Yeah.
And we're talking about doping. And there was a scandal around, or rather involving Asbel Kiprop.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the current situation regarding doping in Kenya? And what do you think needs to be done? Like, do we need to start testing in all sports? Or, like, what do we do to curb cheating in sports, basically?
Of course, no one likes a cheat.
Yeah.
I think the World Anti-Doping Agency really blew up at I would say the 1988 Seoul Olympics, when Ben Johnson was doping. It just looked like he was doping. He looked like he was on serious drugs. And that was after his 100-meter win, and he beat Carl Lewis. But anyway, as you said, it's been reported in British media that Asbel Kiprop has been involved in doping, and if that happens, he's a 2011, 2013, 2015 world champion. 1500-meter champion, that is, and his credentials are at risk. He has to defend himself as to whether he is actually responsible for that happening. But WADA, World Anti-Doping Agency, prior to the Rio Olympics in 2016, had brought up the issue of Kenya not adopting the regulations that had been set up by the World Anti-Doping Agency. But it's good to notice that Kenya is a signatory actually to the 2005 UNESCO Convention against doping in sports. And it is as a result of that and the pressure that came from the World Anti-Doping Agency in 2016 that the government of Kenya has sponsored a bill to create the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya in 2016, which is actually a state corporation. Now, yes, they do have teething problems, and we've been accused, not on any of our platforms, but in other conversations. We've been accused of, or rather I've been accused, let me not bring you to this. I've been accused of not taking the government to task when it comes to matter sports. Now these are the issues where government comes in. Because the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya is a state corporation. Therefore it's government who was supposed to fund ADAC to make sure that ADAC govern the sports as it's supposed to be done, to do the testing. These guys, yes, they do have teething problems, and I can bet your mortgage I don't have that these teething problems are largely due to financial problems. But you see, they're a state corporation, so where does their money come from? Their money comes from the government. And I would be saying, or I'd be suggesting, or I would be telling the government, look, fund these guys full, give them the money that they need to be given, and get the good and right professionals in charge of this Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya to conduct the tests that are needed. Because, okay, it's no secret that athletics has been the most dogged sporting discipline when it comes to doping. And it's no secret that athletics is Kenya's biggest breadbasket when it comes to the world stage. So can you imagine the effect it's going to have if our athletes keep on going through this? And I think forget about athletics. I mean, it's just the other day, Maria Sharapova was banned because of, again, doping. It can spread to other things. I think about 2003, Rio Ferdinand was given an 8-month ban because of skipping a test.
Test.
So ADAC needs to be given the finances and they need to be given the support by the government to make sure that we don't go through these problems and to make sure that our athletes, because most of these guys, some guys they're being notorious, but most of these guys is just in exposure. They don't know exactly what they're supposed to do. And that's where ADAC should be coming in, and that's where the government of Kenya should be coming in. So yes, it's a good step for them to set up ADAC, but setting up ADAC is one thing. Now they need the money to run, they need the infrastructure to run. And GOK should be a bit serious about that.
I mean, it's. I'm just thinking, like, if you won a number of races or whatever, and all that is going to be stripped because either you didn't know what you were taking or you knew and you just didn't follow the proper guidelines because you thought you'd never get caught. I mean, when the institution is set in place, then you know that I can't do this and this and this because I will be caught and I will be stripped of anything I've ever won, or or my credentials will be in question.
True.
Anyway, no one loves a cheater, right?
No one loves a cheater.
Guys. That's it for today's episode. Oh God.
I didn't do anything.
Follow us on Instagram, like our page on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Demi Madafi.
And I'm Garo Kabuya.
See you next week for episode 72.
No one loves a cheater.